Thank you all for coming. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for sharing. I was actually looking forward to this for one whole week. I was sharing with Auntie earlier that since the first part of it, where I realized that now I'm becoming more aware of how my body was reacting to situation. And honestly, I don't really want to acknowledge it. Like I'm actually in shock in that sense that how can I actually react in this way? And I want it to be perfect. I strive so hard to be a perfect, to react in a perfect way, and then but subconsciously I'm acknowledging this like
tightness happening.
Happening. So I was telling her it's not just about regulating or controlling. I don't even want to acknowledge it. I don't even want to even give it any importance. So I really hope to looking forward to today. This how do I even come in terms of these emotions and
Thanks so much, Shamini, for speaking so openly from your heart. Yeah, any one of us trying to walk this journey is in that awkward space, very awkward space of learning, unlearning, relearning. It's so tricky because the learning is already so strong. So I need to unlearn. It's like unscrewing my head and rescrewing it back, in which way I don't know. Yeah, it is. And if I paused to look at that tightness, then I have to look at myself differently. Yeah, and have to find my courage. For example, I had to find my courage to find my voice. If you had seen me 20 years ago, you wouldn't see me like this. Yeah, I would have to rehearse my speech 200 times and then mug it up. And then on the 5th day, it might be presented. The whole journey would have taken 25 days. But it's that journey of finding those lost parts or aspects of ourselves. Yeah, it is that tricky. And if I paused, if I'm trying to follow perfection and I'm putting up that front and the tightness is happening, even if nobody is there, and I pause to reflect, it means, and what I hear from my body, it may go against the agenda I've planned for the day, isn't it? And that's so difficult to trust that process, that actually I might be more efficient and that less is more. It's so difficult to trust that process till we walk that talk and seen that difference. In retrospect, we can see it. As it's happening, it's so tricky. So as we are just starting today, what can you, anyone else would like to share what they've observed about themselves? Any one more person? We can just talk or type, whichever way, whatever you've observed. So we all grow together through this, yeah? It's just a process of observation. If you notice, I'm not saying judgment. We just observe.
Hi, Sudha. Thanks so much. I'm really glad to join. My observation about myself is
Thanks so much.
Yeah, my observation about myself is that I'm just extremely caught up in the daily grind.
Yeah.
I didn't have the I joined a little late, so I didn't actually have the opportunity to listen to the previous speakers. So I apologize if I'm repeating some material, but basically I find myself extremely caught up in the daily routine and grind, and often I don't make time for reflection and to step back and perhaps observe myself from a larger perspective. So that's something that I look forward to do more.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Because life gets so busy and sometimes our commitments are more than we can handle, and we don't recognize we've taken on more than we can handle till we get into it. And that leaves us with less time for reflection. And the reflection as I'm sharing here is only observation, not evaluation. That's so tricky for us. We're so used to evaluating us positive, negative, excellent, bad, good, all that, yeah? And acknowledging how we've grown to be the way we are. Yeah. Thanks, Puva. And now we are taking baby steps to try and unlearn and relearn. That's tricky. And when we are committed to ourselves, that process happens step by step. Yeah? Thanks. I'm just starting today. How many of y'all can remember what is this human body's needs? It's the biological need. And if the need isn't met, it goes into default into the next state. Yeah? And what would you say? Just 2 words if you'll remember. Yeah? Yeah, the need is for connection. And there's thanks. And if connection isn't happening, the body just biologically, physiologically, biochemically, all that slips into survival mode. Survival means it is not feeling connected and not feeling part of the group. Instead, it is feeling marginalized. And feelings are real, it's not imaginary, because every feeling, every emotion has sensations in the body. Yeah, and that's that tightness we notice. And if we work against it, we are able to do a certain amount. And if we work with it, we are able to do different. 3rd session. And I'm just wondering how many of y'all, what's happening in y'all when I say me first? It might go against what we've all learned. For me, it was very, very difficult to even entertain anywhere near me the concept of me first. It was filled with guilt. Yeah, it was seen as selfish. Anyone else feeling like that? That concept, how is it? The thought of me first. Yeah. Yep, it's scary to put ourselves. Yeah. It feels selfish. Yep. Very, very much selfish. Yeah. It is. It's if I expressed myself, it was, hey, I'm being selfish. I'm taking away time from others. And much later, I came to recognize it's not because I'm taking away time from others. As Dolly put it here, I'm so scared to be judged by others. Yeah, judged, evaluated, and found short on the markers of evaluation. Or evaluated and found high on the markers of evaluation, simply because then I'll have to maintain that standard. It's ironical. I want people to see me through that standard, but it's scary because I have to keep maintaining that standard, isn't it? It's like the games we play with ourselves, and we are filled with guilt for that. Yeah, so over many years, it was saying, hey, when I say put me first, and as I came to see from little kids, when we put me first, I'm more in touch with me and connected with me. What I give out to kids or to my spouse or to children or whomever I'm interacting with has a different quality. Yeah? Thanks. Yeah? We judge things and we're also judging ourselves all the time. It's super scary to be evaluated, analyzed. Yeah. And we all do our very best not to be. Thanks, Shima. It's very much like that. Thank you so much for sharing. We're all similar inside. And when I work a lot with teenagers, and the parents have shifted a lot, but as they say, I know my mother has shifted, my father has shifted, but now I've become a good student. I'm judging myself and I can't come off that track. Yeah. And slowly they are able to own it over time. I want that. It's not, it's me judging myself. And we go into that deeper, deeper level of work. Yeah. Thanks. We have a lot of guilt. And even if I was in an aeroplane and I had to put that mask first on me, and that child was nearby me, I think I might have in the past sneakily put the mask on the child first, defying what they are telling me, because my conscience wouldn't have been able to do it. But now I'm coming to understand that the more I take care of me, the more I'm present. The more I'm present in the interaction, any other human being who is with me benefits also. It took kids to teach us this, any of us working with kids. Yeah, because the less we are present in the sessions, the number of sessions seems like forever and doesn't finish, and the shift with the kid is so little. And as we are more present, oh wow, the shift is so much. Yeah. Yeah, we have been conditioned to be martyrs, and we don't recognize martyr is like an M, and if you turn it, it's a W, and you take away one part, it's a V. We are conditioned to be victims too. We love to be victims, yeah. Victim and martyr go together. That's a whole different discussion. Thanks for bringing that up. And it was me coming off that cycle of growth. And I can share some resources at the end of this talk, if anyone who's interested in knowing more of that. Yeah. So again, just recapping. The first few slides are always recapping. Yeah, the body yearns. I yearn for connection. Whoever it is, we yearn for it. But this body of mine, this experiential, emotional body of mine, that's way older in evolution than my cognitive head. If that connection, genuine connection, is lacking, what it is programmed for genuine connection, whoops, it slips. And as it slips into what I call the orange zone. Yeah? If this is that body, from the green zone, whoops, it slips into the orange zone. The properties and qualities of the body is very different in each zone. And if this isn't working, it slips into a more older in evolution zone, the reptilian part of it, yeah? And we'll come there now slowly. What makes that body take its job so seriously? It's a good student, it's been inbuilt programming is so great. Hey, evolution is still happening over millions of years and will continue after us. Yeah. And we have all this part of evolution in us. And after humans, it will continue evolving. We don't know, we'll never know, yeah? So I'm just asking you all a question. Which came first? Sudha or this body? Which came first? The name is Sudha or this body? Thanks Shankari, Sumati, Shamini, Cleo, yeah? The body came first, and that's how we are all the same. And I can say I'm privileged enough or honored enough to have worked with enough people and worked in the NGOs before, with really the lower socioeconomic group, then worked in the higher strata of society in a private practice, and KL being a melting pot of very many expats living here. I've had the privilege of working with people from every continent and 15, 18, 20 countries, just to share that we all are the same within. Yeah, it's not that we are different. Our needs, and coronavirus MCO is showing us that so much. Yeah. have some level of control over my expression. I've tried a lot to keep my expression flat. I've tried to control it. Many parents try this and we know it doesn't work. Yeah, it comes out somewhere else. And that little kid, if I'm interacting with kids, might say, but mommy, are you really happy I'm eating the ice cream now? Are you really happy? Are you really happy? They keep asking us because they can sense from my body language, non-verbal language, including my face, that something I'm portraying doesn't match my words. Yeah. So what can I do to take care of my tone and my expression? My tone, I can control it. It still leaks out. And how did I learn this so much about tone besides myself? Years ago, I worked with some children and the parents had been for lots of very good training from the US, UK, parenting classes, coaching classes. And they knew all the right things to say at the right time. Then how come this child was presenting with such huge behavioral issues? It was mind-boggling for me. And like a dog chewing on the bone, I couldn't sleep. I would keep on thinking about it and dreaming about it in my sleep too, yeah? To figure out what haven't I understood? What's the mismatch? Then finally one session, I asked them I'm wondering, can we role play what's happening at home? Can you demonstrate for me? And it was a child, usual story. Morning, he doesn't want to get up to go to school. His eyes are shut tightly. It's a classic story that happens in many houses. Yeah. And then I asked him, what does he do? And he finally opens his eyes. The mom would, Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. And the mother would say, I understand, darling. I understand you don't want to go to school and school needs to happen now. Let's get up and get ready. The words were absolutely right. Could you hear any understanding in what I was speaking? Yeah? Want to put out yes or no? Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand, little one. You don't want to go to school and school needs to happen. You're getting up from the bed right now. And then when I asked the parent, how does it feel when you don't want to go to school? And I recognized they really didn't know the inside of a child. They had gotten the cognitive, or I call it intellectual empathy or cognitive empathy, or what were the right lines. But that child, absolutely, Sumati, the child felt rushed. Didn't feel any understanding. Mom has an agenda and she wants me out of bed. She's saying the right words. So it was very, very tricky to support parents understand that, hey, it's different. Yeah? We really need to connect with the inside of the child. So if I connect with my inside, and so many other parents have told me this, if they connect with their inside and stay with that, and then talk with whomever they're talking, especially the child, because we can't bullshit them, then what happens is that whole interaction that they thought would take 1 hour and they're going to be horribly late for school. Hey, it's actually happening in time and within time. How on earth is it happening? They're figuring it out for themselves and then learning to be focused on themselves, yeah? Which once again is so tricky because we culturally, society, traditionally learned otherwise. Yeah, just sharing this. The signs picked up. Let me just move this. Just a minute. Yeah. The signs picked up during neuroception, it influences the body's internal state. Yeah. And if it is in the safe zone, when I call the safe zone the green zone, if it is in the safe zone, we are very, connection is happening. This is the best and latest in evolution. We are built for connection, yeah? And if safe isn't happening, then where's the body? It just slips biologically, as I call it, into the orange zone. That's the next lower stage. Just give me a minute. If this is green, the body physiologically, biochemically slips into this stage. Oh, connection isn't happening. It goes into fear of marginalizing, feeling marginalized, isolated, lonely. Hey, existence is pretty scary here. Yeah, it's not here. And we call this zone mobilization from fear zone. Yeah. And in this zone is where we see those kind of behaviors. They call it fight or flight. The child rebelling big time. I call it protesting big time against lack of connection with us. And these behaviors are very misunderstood. It is seen as child is, can I say child is disrespecting me? That's what many of us see that, yeah? Because we were told it's disrespect when growing up, to be very, very fair to all of us. We didn't hear otherwise. And so we think the child is disrespecting us. And then what happens in us? We go into this zone. So then there are two heads clashing from this zone happening, yeah? Oh, and then distance is happening. Because it's the mobilization of the body. Now, if this zone, the child is protesting big time, and it's still not being heard, then what happens? What happens to survival if the child is protesting to us and we are not hearing the child? What happens? Let's just take a minute to see what happens. Two children, here I've got a child and I've got an adult here. And they both are talking, if you can see them. He's saying, come back here, and she's running away. Come back here, and she's running away. And then he says, you come back here right now or see what will happen. What happens? This child might tremble and might come back this way. What was the child doing? Anyone want to write down? It's not oppositional defiance disorder. Thank you. That's what we see a lot of kids labeled with that. Thank you so much, Shivram, for putting it out. Thank you so much. You know, Cleo, Amarpreet, we are all working with children, child therapists here. We receive many a kid labeled as oppositional defiance disorder. And that label stays in the staff room and follows the child year to year in the school. The child isn't opposing us. The child just voiced itself. We struggle to hear the child. The child neuroception, child felt threatened by our behaviors. Can I say that, Cleo and Amarpreet? Child felt threatened by our behaviors. And from that threat, worse behaviors manifested, trying to protect itself from us. And this little one got labeled as oppositional defiant disorder. It became so much of a habit that this little one is leaving this home confines and coming now to school. And teachers who are in school have to work with this kid because the kid is doing it all the time in school. And the teacher has, I wish she had only 10 children in a class. She's got 20, 30 children. And they say this child is a bully in school. This child is being bullied in school. It didn't start in the school, yeah? And any bullying program in the school is really not going to be that effective. It needs for parents to have awareness, and the shift happens at home. Because many a time we feel so threatened, we use intimidation. And what happens when that isn't working? Mobilization by fear. This orange zone isn't working anymore. This zone collapses. This zone is not effective anymore. The human body shifts to the next zone. And this zone, they call it the freeze zone or immobilization with fear. And what we say, simple words, when protest isn't happening and I'm not being heard, shut down, collapse, comply happens. Yeah, that's what happens. Has that been clear till today? Till now, I'm sorry. It's Stephen Porges is the first guy who discovered this thing called freeze, or the dorsal vagal nerve that goes here, and there's a ventral vagal nerve, and all that part he discovered. He discovered about, because freeze doesn't look like we are frozen outside. Inside of that human being, they are feeling like jelly and heavy and a whole confusion happening at the same time. And they're not able to move and follow through. They just comply. Yeah? Thanks. I'm just going back. So freeze looks very different from the outside, from the name it has. So we usually call it shut down, collapse, comply. So the behaviors, depending on that internal state, the adaptive behaviors manifest. That these behaviors are supportive of healthy connection or adaptive behaviors to meet the needs of marginalization or survival. And even more adaptive behaviors here happen. And these behaviors, well, it takes a toll on the human body. The human body is non-judgmental. It just keeps adapting and adapting to meet the needs of the environment. The tricky part here, as we shared earlier, is that neuroception can be faulty. If that little kid has seen a lot of ugliness, it's got a very different anxiety level than another child. And let me give you, let's just see a little bit more before I give you examples to understand this better. Yeah. And the consequence of not having a healthy neuroception programming or whatever, I could be blaming myself, blaming others, feeling more tight than the normal programming that the body comes in with. And the physical health also suffers a lot. Just reflecting. I'm just trying to help us see life differently. Maybe I'm just an inhabitant in this body. And if I compassionately support and make friends with this body of mine, I may have a chance to experience safety, healthy connection, because both these offer good health. And we do have clues. Just a minute, just to give you an example here of faulty neuroception. A little child, two little children, okay? Let me have two little children here. And these are two kids, and they're in school, in primary 1, grade 1. The teacher is asking a lot of questions. And all the kids, they're very excited. They're all lifting up their hands. And a kid will get one chance, and one kid gets one chance. And then sometimes some kids, no teacher does it deliberately. Another kid may get 2 chances, and depending on the time. Now, if this child has had healthy neuroception, this child is able to feel in the body, oh shucks, I didn't get a chance. Next time maybe teacher will remember me. They stay in the sadness and disappointment of not being able to show off, which is healthy. They're cute little things, yeah? This child here, who's a lot of the time, whatever reasons and whatever is happening at home, and that body is gone into this orange zone or gray zone, yeah? This space or this space. That little kid's thoughts are, I know it. Teacher doesn't like me. See, she never called me. See, she likes that one, she called her more. The child doesn't plan to think. These thoughts come up when the body is more on these zones. Yeah? And that's the challenge teachers face every day. And they do a job that I can't do. I really, in Malaysia, we'll say tape them, salute them. Like they're doing something I can't. It's so much of an effort to meet each child's needs, yeah? And that child might immediately, a little while later, tear the page from another child's book because of that anxiety arising from all these feelings. Can I say that? Have any of you all experienced that? Yeah, thanks. That's what happens. So a teacher needs to be so mindful and so present, not for the sake of the children, so that the day becomes less strenuous for her. Yeah, otherwise she has to deal with all those behaviors at the end of the day. So now let's see the clues we have. As Shamini was asking, hey, we have tools and clues to shift our body state from here, shift our body state from orange to green zone. Yeah, as we shared in our earlier sessions, tightness. And some people, as they've shared with me, Sudha, I can't pick up the tightness, but I can pick up irritation, annoyance, shutting down. What is another huge clue? It's our breath. Yeah. Why? What have you all observed about your breaths? The breath is a lovely clue we have. What have you noticed about your breath when you're feeling tight? If you have been observing yourselves over the past 3 weeks, yeah, hey, the breath becomes quick, it becomes faster, it's not deep, yes, it's short and shallow. I like to say fast and furious sometimes, isn't it? Thanks. And let's see a little more. Why is the breath so important? See, the body was designed in the uterus and the body came out. Then the body got a name. Actually, this is not true because so much happened before it got a name, isn't it? It received a spanking. That spanking is so crucial. A little whack. And the body cried. That crying is taking the first breath. Yeah? The body got life. And then it got a name. Isn't it? So that breath is our connection. The breath is the connection for me. Me means Sudha, Cleo, Yuriko, whoever. Me and that body that I'm living in. It's a huge connecting tool. And we use our breath to reverse this process of tightness, to bring us back in the green zone. Sorry, it's doing some mischief by itself. Yeah, just a minute, let me see what's happening. Yeah. Yeah. I yearn for connection. And that's that tug of war that's happening within. When I'm feeling tight within, I owe it to myself to shift from here to here. Because if not, I'm hearing all different. And you'll slowly see that. Yeah? We use our breath to shift our state from survival states, from the gray zone or the orange zone to the green zone, or to shift it from here and here to here. Yeah? Because this is what this man discovered. This is such a big, important step. Positive social behavior, altruism, compassion in mundane daily moments, empathy from the heart in mundane daily moments only exists in this zone. And it finally fell into place and it made sense to me. Because when I started child therapy in 2006, after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I was doing everything opposite of what society or what I had picked up, that met my needs. You say no, say don'ts. We are overprotective of children, thinking I am nurturing them and mothering them, not realizing I'm smothering them. Never knew it. I thought I was mothering, and I'm the best mother. I'm going to get a 5-star gold medal for being the mother. Never knowing we are smothering them. Yeah. Any other mothers seeing similarly, or am I going to be standing alone saying this here? Huh?
Sudha, I must be a part of it.
Thank you, Dolly, for switching on that, unmuting and saying it.
Yes.
Thanks.
I get to type.
Thanks. Appreciate it very much, hearing a voice. I'm not standing alone on that.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not standing alone on that shame stage, okay? Thank you.
We are with you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm doing something different. And 4 months later, 5 months later, the parents would call me up and these kids I was working with, 10-year-old, peeing in the daytime in the classroom, pooing in his pants in the daytime in the classroom, all 10 and 11 years old, stealing big time, and then lying he didn't steal. Yeah? You open the mouth, then they'll say like a toad, a frog jumped out. It was only a lie. The teachers were scared of these children. They were gangster material. And the parents would call me up and say, Ma, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. First time in my life, the child said sorry to me. What are you teaching him, Mama? How are you teaching him? But I wasn't teaching him anything. I wasn't doing any of the moral science that you're supposed to teach. So that's what made me more curious, and I hung on to this modality of therapy to understand more. Something is happening, that the child on his own is saying sorry. The child on his own, when the mother is sick, is going and saying, Amma, I'll get you a Panadol, or I'll get you some water, which had never happened before. Yeah, in these households which are, there's so much ugliness happening in those households too. Yeah, because so much of poverty, so much of fighting, so much of this. I'm saying, what am I doing? What am I doing that's working? I didn't know. But something's working that defied whatever I had thought I'd learned. Yeah? And I realized much later, 2-3 years later, that we were supporting the child have genuine connection. And as he had genuine connection with another human being, the child felt a sense of acceptance from an adult. Acceptance is the opposite of marginalization, isn't it? And from that acceptance, it moved to self-acceptance. Hey, I'm important. Oh, I matter. Oh, I'm valuable. And from that position, that human being that felt enough, I'm not saying 100%, but enough of a sense of self. Nobody is going to be 100%, yeah? That person could reach out and offer empathy and compassion. Then that mystery got solved for me. And I thank this guy so much. 1997, he came up with this theory, and years of research helping us all understand. So that's why we support human beings be in this space. Compassion means we turn off defenses. Defenses come up. Survival. Survival means I'm protecting me. Protecting me means defending myself from threatening characters, isn't it? Fear, 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 fear. So, yeah, defenses means our survival systems are on, and fear system is operational, fear of survival. It may go on by default, depending on my childhood, depending on my conditioning and its programming. So how do I offer me safety? Yeah, offer myself compassion to my body. That has gone into orange zone and we wish to shift it to the green zone. This is what he noticed. We cannot control the initial reaction that happens. But what we do with that is very much in our hands. We have a sense of control. We are not so programmed and so powerless. Yeah, we are not robots. And the tricky part here, or the huge awareness part here, is to be able to pick up the initial one, that awareness. I pick up the initial, I can put the pause break. I don't pick up the initial, oh, it's a runaway train, express train runaway, yeah? That gets tricky. So what happens is, as I'm getting the awareness, hey, tightness is happening, I'm not, you see, let's see when you say, let's just do a little experiment here. Just give me a minute. Just say to yourselves, yeah? Oh, Sumati asked a question here. One adult is enough to help a child shift. Oh yes, Sumati. Yeah, I've seen that. And I always thought sometimes when I was in the Tamil schools, I did a lot of work in Tamil schools for 4 years. I used to think, I mean, very much, did I make any difference? And counseling is a very, very bad, filthy word in Tamil schools. Because look, you're being bad, I'll send you to the counseling teacher. You're beyond redemption, you're useless, I'll send you to the counseling teacher. And about one day I was out somewhere and this guy came up to me. And I'd seen him when he was 10 years old. 4 or 5 years later, he's 15. I sure couldn't recognize him. He came up to me and he said, do you recognize me, teacher? And I said, no, I don't. I really don't, but help me understand. I want to know you. And he said, you were my counseling teacher in the school. And then, of course, I could recognize him properly. And this is the biggest part for me that I literally get tears even if I share it with you all here. He introduced me to his friend who was there, another man, another young boy. And it's, in Tamil schools, it's shame. Counseling is shame. No one wants to go near shame. And to introduce me meant he was not in that, you know, he felt so proud of himself and not in that space of shame. And then he whispered in my ear, just whispered in my ear. In the last sessions, I had bought a whole bunch of keychains from India, 50-cent keychains, you know, it's little junk, but it's fun for kids. I still have that keychain. And that's when I came to know, yes, it makes a difference. And some of those kids are 18, 20 years old now. More than that, they're working, they're still in touch with me. Yeah? And that's how I know it works. They gave me the faith in this process. So I'm just going to have you all to say one sentence and just see your bodies, and then put an answer. Just say, I get irritated, or I am irritated. I'm annoyed. I'm irritated. I'm upset. Just see what's happening in your body. Is it going tight or extra tight or what? Yeah, just observe the body. Yeah? I'm irritated. I'm annoyed. I'm upset. And then, if I'm making compassionately friends with my body, just take a minute, take a deep breath out, and then we'll try another experiment where we are saying to ourselves, irritation is happening. Annoyance is happening. Hey, upset is happening. Can we just say this and see the difference in the body? Just look into your bodies. It's very similar and the difference is very subtle. Just observe. Hey, irritation is happening. Annoyance is happening. Yeah? The stomach churns. Is it churning less or more? I'm more aware of my body. Beautiful. Yep. It is a very subtle shift. Very subtle. It's less tight, isn't it? Anybody else? Why? Because I'm giving myself a little distance. When I say I'm doing it, I've become the owner, I've become the possessor, I'm caught in it, I'm the runaway train, gone, finished. It's lost. Yeah, it's so subtle. So what we are doing is I'm witnessing what's happening in my body. Hey, irritation is happening, annoyance is happening, upset is happening, marginalization is happening. Helplessness is happening, hopelessness is happening. That little bit gives a pause button. It gives us a space for, I call it the brake on the runaway train, yeah? It's so subtle. Yeah, it shifts it from being attached and stuck in the feeling to the noticing. Thank you, Radha. That's what happens. It shifts that. It's such a subtle shift. And many people ask me, oh, Sudha, that means I'm not taking responsibility for what is happening in my body. I've been asked that many times. I say, no, you're giving yourself a pause button to take extra responsibility for what's happening now. Does that make sense? We are actually going to take extra responsibility now, and let's see how to do it. And saying, wow, that's strong. Depending on our own childhoods and our own life experiences, the depth of that tightness or irritation will vary in the situation. 5 children in the same classroom will react 5 different reactions to that teacher's one statement. Yeah? Maybe that statement was not okay, so all of them could go into tightness and irritation, whatever. The depth of the tightness, the depth of the silence, the depth of the annoyance will depend on my childhood. And we take responsibility for it without blame. And we want to understand, where is it coming from? It's that pause button, just that tiny pause button. That helps so much. Just that small rephrase. And then if you notice your breath at that time, as we said, our breath is tight. Yeah? If you observe when irritation is happening, the breath is short and shallow. If you look hard at your breath, in that shortness, that short breath, is the inhalation longer or the exhalation? How are we breathing? Yeah? Is our focus more on the inhalation or exhalation? If we notice carefully, just looking at it when we are feeling distressed or anxious, that inhalation is a little more than exhalation. Why? Because when it's scientific, when the body is in this system, yeah? Thanks, Dolly. We are inhaling short, finally we are holding it. That's what happens. When that system goes into shutdown, collapse, comply, we are holding the breath. Thanks. When the system is here and it's feeling marginalized, it needs all the resources it can get because connection isn't there. That means there's a lot of mistrust, doubt, self-doubt, all operation. I can't trust this. I can't trust the other human beings around me. I need to be more vigilant, super duper hyper vigilant, extra vigilant. And how does the body do that? in the inhalation, the sense organs are more alive. They are more alive. It's like my antenna, the radar system is on, woo, that alert. And it's picking up all those threats and things that are not threats, it is thinking it's a threat because it's so sensitive. And what happens is when I do a lot of trauma therapy, that's what I do also in my work. As I'm doing it, sometimes the person may say, oh, Sudha, I'm feeling your touch. Oh, your touch is too strong now. I know that they are going through those trauma memories. The system is more alive at that time. And I'd be very much more gentle even in the touch. The whole system, yeah, while they're processing and going through those memories and clearing it. So it's real. It's not just from books I'm sharing. That's what happens. So we want to shut down reduce that level of alertness, sensitiveness, which is just picking up and misinterpreting what it's picking up, yeah? So we are shifting our body. When we are doing exhale longer than inhale, and we are exhaling through the mouth. Slowly, slowly, that system which was super duper alert shifts and comes and moves into the green zone. Because two systems would be operating at that time when I'm trying to shift the breath. Anxiety, anxiety, fear, fear, marginalization. And the second one saying, hey, the breathing seems okay. There doesn't seem to be danger. And just like a plant moves towards sunlight in the dark room, our body system automatically resets to feeling safe. Now this lady, she's put out this woo breath here. Last week I showed you all the second version of the woo breath. Who invented this woo breath or came up with this? This particular version called woo breath we give credit to Peter Levine, who's done a lot of work on understanding the human body and trauma therapy and all that. And he found that when we make the sound like a foghorn, olden day ships did not have Wi-Fi and GPS and all that. And so if they were going through foggy areas or the lighthouse, the ship could see a ship, they would make a sound like this. That woo breath, I'll show you in the video clip, comes literally from our gut. And we feel that vibrations in the body. And it's resetting along those nerves, all those nerve endings on the body. Yeah? It's helping discharge to help the body reset. And we can watch her and do along with her. She's one of his students who was kind enough to make these video clips and put it out here. We thank her for that.
That I'm going to share with you. And the first one is one that I will utilize when I'm in a state of overwhelm and this last couple of weeks despair. So I've been doing this particular version. The second version is one that I will put into practice when I have that fiery energy present of irritation, of frustration, and even the quality of anger. It's really, really useful. So what I'll do is guide you through what it is and demonstrate. We'll do 3 rounds together. Feel free to join in at any time. You're welcome to have your eyes open or closed. So first, simply bring your hands to your belly. Take a deep, deep breath into the lower abdomen. Allow the belly to puff out. Letting the sound come from deep in the belly and out. Big inhale.
Any of y'all did it along with the video clip? And what was your experience? After doing it, you'll find a sense of calmness or relaxation or less distress. Yeah, thanks. And sometimes we may need 3 breaths, we may need 15 breaths, depending on the situation and depending on our own personalities. Yeah, it's different. And then the other breath, I showed it to you all last time, and I'm going to, yeah. The sound itself is also very relaxing. And because it activates all that nerve parts inside, that's releasing the tension, yeah, that neuroception process. Yeah, yeah. These guys have done a lot of research, gone into various cultures, trying to understand it and sees what meets the needs of the human body, and they are sharing with us. And the second breath, I showed it to you all last time. I'm just going to show it again this time. Let me screen share for some of y'all who weren't present and are here. Bear with us. Thanks.
And the second version of this breath is the same sound, bring it from deep in the belly, but this time you're going to bring the energy through your teeth and your eyes with this very slow opening and closing of the jaw. So this is the variation that I'll use when I'm feeling like really frustrated, or there's that quality of irritation or anger present. And so it looks like this. Take a deep breath in. Feel free to join me. Big inhale. Send it out through the teeth and the eyes. And rest. Invite your eyes to close. And notice what's different, what's shifted. And slowly open your eyes. So that second variation is also a great tool that if you get into a heated argument with your significant other, literally, I will jump into that. It's a great way to interrupt the pattern of being triggered. And it also obviously supports that regulation in the nervous system and a release in the spike that's just happened.
So if we are practicing these breaths, very many of us feel more comfortable with the first version than the second version. The second one is when we are angry, there's a lot of energy in our jaws to say all those words, or all those inappropriate words sometimes, or it's suppressed. So the energy sits here behind my eyes, all that, yeah? And what happens is when we are angry, below anger is fear. So we are feeling threatened. That's a reactive emotion. We are in this zone. It's so scary, fearful. And so my eyes literally become bigger. The other person seeing me cannot see me as feeling threatened or feeling fearful or shaky inside. What they're seeing is someone intimidating. So much misunderstood in this process, yeah? And so as we do this and we release it, and as I said, many prefer to do the first version. As we are doing it, our kids see it and our kids role model us in time. So that's a beautiful gift we are offering them. And we'll continue. Always the focus is exhale is longer than inhale. Yeah. This is to reset my body to the green zone so that I can have access to these higher cortical structures, literally. And for little kids, we say breathe through the nose, blow out an ever blowing candle that doesn't go out. Or as Sumati came up with a lovely suggestion that works, you know. Can I share that, Sumati?
Sudha.
Thanks. When she's teaching yoga, she gets the children to say, breathe out like an elephant. The elephant's breathing out through the trunk. So children find it fun, curious, and they actually do it much more. You've got to make it playful and fun, then they'll do it. Yeah? We keep doing this till the tightness decreases. And next session, we will see another kind of breath also, okay? That will be very helpful. If all else fails, there is one more breath. We look at it. Yeah? This is an option, remember? It's an option, not a must. If I wish and if I'm feeling comfortable enough in the interaction, I can trust the interaction. Then I might say this, wow, when you turned away and looked at the phone, I felt so tight inside. Yeah. But if I am not comfortable in the reaction, in the interaction, I would not share all this. Because then the other person might tell me, yeah, now you made it all about yourself. Or something like that. So we are very mindful. That's the journey of learning to trust and boundaries and limit setting, with whom I can share and whom I don't share. But most important is I make a note to myself as I make friends with my body. Wow, a tightness happened in my gut when this happened. Oh, a tightness happened in my heart when that happened. Oh my God, it stayed for 15 minutes. I never knew such a big reaction happens in me. Then we are making friends with our neuroception triggers, faulty neuroception, all that. So my body and I are working together rather than working against. Yeah. Such a big tightness happened. Sharing only if it feels safe, only if it's safe. I keep repeating it 3 times here, yeah? Because when I share, when it's not safe, it comes to bite me in the back. Yeah? Now this is a classic one I need to bring up, which is so misunderstood in society. If that interaction isn't going comfortably, sometimes the person has gone silent. Actually, remember we said irritation is happening, annoyance is happening. The person hasn't deliberately gone silent, or the person isn't defiant. Silence is happening. Yeah? It's not passive aggressive behavior. Passive means silence is happening. The person wants to speak, the body won't let it speak up. It's holding back the words because the body isn't feeling safe in that interaction. Or the body is doing its best to hold it back from childhood conditioning. And that face looks so beautifully flat outside, expressionless. And we may think that is so much patience and such a big virtue. It's not patience. Yeah, dear listeners, that's not patience. That isn't a virtue. That's that body doing its best to accommodate in that situation. We call maladaptive behaviors surface to meet the needs of that situation. And a lot of that happens, and hey, when it's gone beyond a certain limit, such persons don't even recognize they may need support. And when it's really, really, really beyond the limit, they may come looking for support, and that's how I know. And when I start doing any form of trauma work, if that body is so much in the shut down, collapse, comply mode, when I even touch emotions, whoa, it's too overwhelming. And so much work needs to be done to shift that, to make that body come, literally to bring it back to life. Why is this so important? Simply because when so much energy is being used by that body for silence, going silence, which sometimes our society has misunderstood as a virtue. So much energy is redirected from the body's digestive system, immune system, respiratory system, urinary system, ABCD skeleton system, all that, it's directed to this. And health, growth, and restoration of that human body is compromised. And how can I so comfortably or so confidently, or I might sound arrogant when I'm saying this, but once again, I've been blessed and privileged enough to work with enough people. And it's their experiences I'm talking here: fibromyalgia, anorexia, OCD, you can BPD, call it whatever alphabets you want and put names, oppositional defiant disorder, nervous tics. And as we work and work and work with the body, offering it what it needs, those symptoms decrease, yeah? Irritable bowel syndrome, so much. Which of course the doctors have said it's beyond medical stuff, and then they come to look for other kinds of help. And that's why with compassion, I'm putting out this plea to all of us to take care of our human body and not mistake this as a virtue. Yeah, we breathe, we recognize the distress in our body, we breathe, exhale longer than inhale to reset our body into the green zone. Because what happens is that most important connection happens, the connection of me to myself, as I call it. Yeah, the tight body. When the body is tight, we are in this zone. We literally can't access this part of ourselves where positive social behaviors, compassion, altruism exist. So when I breathe and reset it, we are literally shifting this tight body from here, allowing that blood flow and whatever else to reach those higher cortical structures in the brain, which can be this green zone here. Yeah, that's what we are doing. It's not just a magic or voodoo that Sudha is saying. Hey, researchers have given their life for this and proved it. Because once we are in this green zone, it's like a wide angle lens and we can see the whole picture much better, much clearer than from a narrow angle lens of only one direction. That happens when we are in this zone. And that's why any amount of reasoning with a little kid, cognitive reasoning, logical talk when the child is in this zone doesn't work. Why? Because they can't see the bigger picture. Yeah, the body literally can't. It doesn't have the resources. So we breathe together with the child, we stay, we support them shift to this. Before that, we support ourselves to shift to this. And from here, we see the bigger picture. for ourselves. That first connection, me with myself. That's the safety I offer myself here. Safety is the intervention. We are supporting our bodies to reset, come out of fear, come out of danger, and gain back a sense of control, a level of control. Not doing those kind of behaviors that we do when we are in this zone to gain a sense of control. Kicking, stamping, pushing, manipulation, or many other kinds of behaviors where we shut down, collapse, comply, people pleasing, whatever behaviors to get a level of control, not a sense of control. That's the biggest gift I can offer my body and myself. I'm more present in the interaction and with the other human being, be it a baby, be it 95 years old. Yeah. When I have access to myself, I see the situation very differently. Hey, the child is not blaming me. The child is actually saying something else that I missed. Oh, that person is actually saying that. And I thought it was finger pointing me. We are able to hear differently. Oh, let me give an example. I'll give, just Cleo, remind me to share the example later. Yeah, if you can, just later, about a child asking the dad, why is mom angry? Okay, but if we'll remain with the breath, we want to stop to recognize the tightness, pause, breathe. The breathing resets and connects. That so much happens. Resetting from these two zones to this zone. This is the best in evolution at the moment. The body is non-judgmental. When we are in this zone, we are very judgmental. The thoughts are judgmental. And this zone is a whole different bunch of thoughts. Yeah, it doesn't help me feel safe. This is just having kindness and compassion for myself. Yeah. And now if I have that kindness and compassion for myself and my body is a little loose, what kind of words would come out? What would be the tone that comes out from my mouth? How if my body is a little loose or a little less tight? What kind of tone would come out from this body? Yeah, maybe soft and gentle, maybe teary, maybe weepy, maybe trying to be firm. Maybe it doesn't mean it's always sweet and nice, but it'll be more authentic from my heart rather than from my reactiveness. It doesn't mean it's always calm and nice, yeah? It can be very, weepy, but not that weepiness of manipulation. It can be anxiety, but it's not anxiety of trying to control someone. Hey, see me, see my state. Yep, that genuine and sincerity comes out. It doesn't mean it's a beautiful, calm tone that comes out. That's what people think will happen. It isn't like that. And the other body can hear my sincerity and it responds to that. Yeah. My expression on my face will be softer. My body posture will be less harsh or softer. Everything shifts. And that shift denotes connection. Yeah. So it's having compassion for me first, and connection has a chance to happen with myself. And when that connection has happened, as I like to say, I'm fit for consumption by other people. Otherwise, I'm a pretty scary person to be around with. Yeah. And next time we meet, we'll address all those interactions we did in the first time. Like, for example, Cleo, I remembered the example I wanted to share. A little child, this is that little kid. Yeah. This little kid is going up to dad and asking dad, Papa, why is mommy so angry all the time? Why is mommy so angry all the time? How does Papa answer the question? Can I have 5, 6 answers here, please? The child is asking Papa, Papa, why do you like to, why is this happening all the time? How does the adult reply? Why is mommy angry all the time, Papa? She's like that only, yes. She's not. What makes you say that? Oh, she's tired. Oh, you must understand this is happening. Oh, Papa's making all excuses or blame or whatever at mommy or supporting her or whatever. What is the question really about? We didn't hear the child. What was the child really saying? When that child is saying, Papa, why is mommy always so angry? Is that child operating from the green zone or the orange zone? One question. Thanks. Orange. When the body is in this state, it's in survival mode, yeah? So survival mode, does it have space to think of anybody else or itself? Because it's feeling so marginalized, so alone. It doesn't have space to think of anybody else. Compassion doesn't reside here. Compassion of donating money to charity, helping the blind man to cross the road, yes, all that happens. I mean, the moment-to-moment compassion doesn't happen here. Yeah? It's only focusing on itself. That's the quality of this zone. Not to blame the human being. So when that child is saying, why is mommy always angry? Is the child's thoughts on mommy? Or is it trying, when it sees mommy, something is happening in me? Yeah? So instead of that dad saying, oh no, she's having PMS now. Or mom is, she's always grouchy, just let her be. Oh, mom's like that. Oh, you must understand, mommy. Instead of all that, if that dad is able to ask the child, hey, little one, what happens in you? Because this is the zone, it's only about itself. What happens in you when you see mommy so angry? Oh, the whole beautiful conversation happens from that spot. Yeah? There is a reason for you asking this question. Something happens in you when you see mommy angry, mommy upset. Why mommy? Daddy upset, daddy angry, daddy silent, daddy this, daddy that. Why only mommy? Yeah? So what's happening in you, little one? Turn it back, bring it back to the child. Yeah? Beautiful conversation happens. That this body is automatically starting to shift to this zone because somebody is trying to understand and be with me. Because the little one is so confused in that zone, it cannot understand what's happening inside. We've come to the ending. What did you all get from today's session? As we have 5 minutes left for questions, but before that, what did you get from this session? What remains with you without seeing your notes? What remains with you as we are just summarizing? And if each one could give us a sentence, then we'll have the whole summary here. Yeah? Anyone wants to type out? Yeah? Moving from, it's so important to shift the body biologically from the survival state to the safety state. Yep. Yeah. Pausing myself and distancing myself from the reactive emotion. It's not the real inside emotion. Yeah. How to observe And then slowly the shift happens from the reactiveness to the connectedness with myself. Yeah, there's no capacity to think of another. Not because we don't want to think, not because that kid is selfish, not because the kid has no compassion, because that's the most classic one we get asked. How come my child got no compassion one? What's happening with this child? How come he's so only about himself? Hey, society, the way people have interacted with that human being, it's constantly on that orange zone. Or the body is constantly fluid and fluctuating. It's never stuck. It's moving between these three zones. It's the neuroplasticity of the brain. Yeah, research has shown that. And that's huge hope. Yeah. The genuine tone in the green zone does not always have to come out as gentle. Thanks, Cleo. It can come out as shaky, helpless, very different ways. The genuineness comes out in it. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Sumati. The more I take care of myself, the more the others get my presence. Yeah, thanks so much. And it's such a difficult job to do that. It's not easy what I'm saying here. And I appreciate each and every one of you who've managed to last for 3 sessions. Thanks so much. Yeah, we've got to unlearn, unscrew our head and rescrew our head back again, Shima. It's that difficult, yeah? And it's worth it, yeah? You can share only when you feel safety, yes. And if I'm not feeling safe enough, I can share that with the other. Hey, I need a minute, I need a pause, I need to breathe. I need 20 minutes to regulate. We can continue this conversation later. There's so many, that's healthy boundaries we are putting in place. Yeah, thanks, Vincent. We can encourage children to speak more. And to speak more, they will only speak more when they find us approachable. So if any parent here is finding that the child is sharing more with them than before, give yourselves a big hug and a big pat, because you all have put in so much work to create that zone of safety or approachable, so the child feels safe with you all, yeah? So much work, the effort has been done. It's time to take credit sometimes, isn't it, for that effort? Yeah. And the more I'm connected to myself, the more I'm present. Thanks. Yeah. We can make ourselves into safety zone. Thanks. Thanks so much, each and everyone. Does anyone want to share anything vocally now before we end? We have a few minutes more. Anyone else would like to share or ask any questions? We can put it out here. We have a few minutes more.
Thanks so much, Sudha. I think the session was very grounding.
Oh.
Yeah, so it really helped me be more self-aware, and in fact, in an odd way, this session itself was very calming.
Thank you. And I just put this out once when I had an interview with someone, yeah, and I said, can I, instead of saying, can I call it moving from selfless to self-ish, kind of, centered on self, using it as fun words. And then those words, yeah, he said, I can use such words. Because that's what we're doing, isn't it? Being more centered on ourselves. Thanks. Thank you, guys. We'll end here for today.